Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's Consult Team webinar. We're excited to have you with us today. Today we have a fun topic. We are talking about Dun & Bradstreet some more. We have been talking about how to set up your DUNS number, how to read your Dun & Bradstreet report, and so on. As always, we put these recorded webinars on our YouTube channel, so make sure you click to subscribe. And as you have questions, please feel free to submit those so that I can answer your questions throughout the webinar. Let's dive in today. Let's make sure. All right, let's dive in today. This is D&B's website. Now, be aware, D&B did just do an update, and their website is looking refreshed, but it looks like the monitoring section stayed the same. Now, D&B has 3 monitoring options you can see here, and the first is Credit Signal. You can see that Credit Signal is actually free. And you can click to see a sample report here, but before we do that, we're going to talk about the features and benefits. So what is Credit Signal? Of course, we love free products, but what is this free product? So when you sign up for Credit Signal, you get free alerts to changes of your D&B scores, including your PAYDEX. So you get an alert when the PAYDEX or other score change. It doesn't tell you what the PAYDEX score is or the ratings are. It simply tells you if your report has changed. Then it gives you a monthly email alert to changes on your report, and you can log in anytime. So we're not getting a lot of features with this. You can see, here's the Credit Signal report itself. You can see the PAYDEX has improved. Your commercial stress class has not changed. Financial stress class has not changed. The supplier evaluation rating declined. D&B rating stayed the same. It tells you you have 3 inquiries. Now, with business credit, inquiries are not as big of a deal as they are with personal credit. So these 3 inquiries, that may be companies looking to do business with you. It could be, places you've applied with, and then 3 special events. But we don't know what those are. And then generally your business information. That is what you get on the Credit Signal report. Now, D&B, we all know, and it was interesting, I was interviewing some various business owners, throughout, just talking to them about what's rewarding about being an entrepreneur, what's the hardest part about running a business. And then I would ask them, do you know who your business credit bureaus are and if you have reports established with them? And it was funny, everybody kind of shrugged at that point during the interview. They didn't quite know who the business credit reporting agencies were. They weren't aware they had business credit reports. And then when I jogged their memory and I said, well, what about Dun & Bradstreet? Have you heard of them? I would usually, get a reaction, and that reaction was typically, oh, I've heard of them. They call me all the time, they're really annoying, or something to that effect would come up, unfortunately. So, people are aware of who Dun & Bradstreet is, and they use these type of triggers to generate a phone call. For instance, they may call, and we have this is one of our more common calls we get from our customers. Hey, D&B just called me. This is an emergency. They said I have inquiries. I need to pay this in order to fix it. And they'll generate urgency based on these factors. But it's important to be aware these may not be critical events. We do recommend having business credit monitoring. It's great to know what's on your reports. It's great to be more proactive and position yourself for approvals and things. And we do support that, but be aware when D&B calls you to really do your homework and purchase the products that you need. A lot of customers will likely spend more money than they need to with D&B without some consulting to help them navigate what's important and what is not. Okay, so now we see the credit monitor. And this credit monitor is usually the best choice. What is it? Well, they can establish, if you purchase the credit monitor for $49 a month, of which you can cancel at any time, you get your D&B credit profile created, your DUNS number. So if I have a customer that doesn't have a D&B profile, this is one avenue that they could set up their DUNS number. They do have the option to do the free DUNS number, but this is an additional way. Now, a lot of customers don't go this route because they don't really need to monitor a report that has no credit history. So typically they will set up the free DUNS number first, and then when they feel that their vendor accounts or credit accounts are reporting, then they will purchase the monitoring. Okay, so the very first item here is establish your D&B credit profile in 5 days. Unlimited access to your D&B credit report scores and ratings. You can log in as much as you want to look at them. You get alerts to any changes on your scores, just like you do with Credit Signal. And you get alerted to major company events, notifications like lawsuits, liens, and judgments. And then it says here, you can gain a competitive advantage with the score benchmarking against your industry. And, you know, the monitoring reports, they do give you the ability to compare your business to other businesses. Whether that gives you a competitive advantage, you know, it depends what you do with the data. And we can look at, this is a monitoring report. Here, you can see the company information, and then you get to see, you know, your Paydex score. It's 71. That means that you're making payments 14 days beyond terms. You have a 3-month Paydex of 72. So this monthly Paydex reverts to 80 until you make payments late for the month, and then it declines. At the end of month end, that will adjust. This 3-month Paydex, and there's even a 12-month Paydex, that is an average. So it's a little more stable of a number. It doesn't fluctuate as quickly. Okay, so that's that portion of the monitoring report. The next section we get on this sample company is the financial stress score. And this score, it indicates your company's payment abilities and financial health. I'm just reading this from the top. Scores are both historical and predictive. So they're looking at historical data and also, you know, using algorithms that are predictive. So the score is a 1529 with a class of 2, and that compares to the national average. You're at 78%. So you have a moderate risk of severe financial stress. The likelihood that you would go bankrupt over the next 12 months. Why do banks care about that? Well, they want to know you're going to stay in business to make those payments. Let's check in and see if we have any questions going. Nothing yet. Wonderful. Feel free to submit those questions as we go along here. So you can scroll down here and see that the incidence of delinquent payments here among businesses with your class. And class is the size of your business. Okay. So those within the class, the same size, this is the probability that they will fail. And the average of businesses in the D&B database, this is the average. Here's the factors affecting your score. Low portion of satisfactory payment experiences. We know from the last screen that they do have some late payments because the Paydex score is below an 80. If it's 80, it means they pay everything on time. Anything below an 80 means there has been late payments. A high portion of slow payment experiences to the total number of payment experiences. What that means is, let's see if we get the data there. Nope, that'll be on the next screen. The number of accounts they have or the payment experiences they have made, a high portion of those, a high percentage of those have been late payments. High proportion of past due balances among the amount owing. There's UCCs filing. That's not necessarily a negative, but it's something to note. And then a high number of inquiries over the past 12 months, evidence of liens and judgments. This is listed here, the inquiries, but it actually doesn't affect the score much. So it's important to keep that in mind. You know, D&B walks this line between making their product marketable to customers and to banks versus what truly affects the score. Okay, so we can see the trend. It's been stagnant there. And then here's the industry comparison. So you can see your business here, businesses in this industry. Oh, I'm doing well. And you go from there. Okay, let's go to the next screen they show us. We get to see the payment summary. This is more detail on the Paydex score that we received. So their current Paydex is 71, 14 days beyond terms. Industry median, meaning the industry average here, is 79, or 2 days beyond the terms. Okay, here's the total payment experiences in D&B for this file. It's a fantastic file. This is something like Walmart would have. 492 payments within terms is 68% of those, and one account has been placed in collections. Your average highest credit limit. Why is that number so important, these average high credit limits? It's because lenders copy each other, right? So if you go to apply at Dell and they see that you have had a $10,000 credit line with Home Depot, they feel comfortable that you can handle that $10,000 credit line, and they will likely approve at that $10,000 mark or a little bit more. That is why it's important to increase your credit limits with your trade accounts or vendor accounts. I always tell customers, apply for those increases as often as possible. These accounts are set up without a personal guarantee. So when, hopefully you follow the business credit building program and you set them up without a personal guarantee. So when you apply for an increase, it doesn't pull your personal credit, create an inquiry. You just simply increase the credit limit. A lot of companies will only let you apply for an increase every 3, 6, or 12 months. You'll want to check with them and see what their policy is and get that as high as possible. Okay, so let's look at this company detail here. We've got the payment summary by industry, and then we can look at the payments beyond terms. These are all the payments that were late. We can see the date and the high credit limit, past due, the selling terms, and it's slow over 120 days. This one's only in the 90 to 120 days. This one is slow over 150 days. So you can see the detail of the late payments, but you will notice they don't list out the company name. It doesn't say Staples or Dell or Office Depot. Once again, we saw that here, whereas by industry, right, public finance, telephone communications, they give us the totals here and then the payments, whether they're slow or on time. D&B and the other business credit agencies don't list out who is reporting. They give simply the industry. And let's check and see if that's generated any questions. Nothing yet. Okay, so we're looking at per industry on that report. And that's all we've got on this page. Let's go to our next and see what else we have here. So that is a general review of the credit monitor option we have with D&B. I usually recommend this one, but D&B also offers the Credit Builder Plus. We do get some phone calls in from customers saying, hey, did you know D&B will build my business credit? It's important to be aware that's not what Credit Builder Plus is. Credit Builder Plus allows a business owner to submit credit references to D&B, and if they're verified by D&B and they meet the qualifications, then D&B will add them as a reference on your D&B report. Only your D&B report. Because something reports on your Dun & Bradstreet report doesn't mean it's going to show on your business Equifax report or your business Experian report. So you're only building your D&B report with the Credit Builder Plus. Once again, with Credit Builder Plus, you can set up your D&B file within the 5 business days and get your DUNS number if you so choose. You get the same benchmarks against key competitors, and we'll look at the sample report soon. But the main difference here is you can add 12 credit references, and you can see they say pending verification by D&B. Then we would go down here and it tells us a trade reference will be added subject to D&B verification and acceptance. And you can click on this link and it will show you what the definition of a trade reference is and what qualifies. Now, here are some references that are not accepted by D&B. We do talk to a lot of business owners that purchase the Credit Builder thinking D&B would build their business credit report with Dun & Bradstreet, only to find that the references they have to submit don't qualify. So let's talk about those. Payments that have not been made but are anticipated. That one's a little more logical, but then we run into some harder ones. We've got payments to businesses that have shared principals or legal ownership relationships, financial services, the banks, credit unions, insurance agencies. So we're talking about your credit card payments to your bank on your business credit card. Yeah, same with the credit union. If you have any products with your insurance agency, those are not reported. Bank references don't qualify. Utilities, gas companies, credit card companies, landlords, virtual offices, credit counseling or registered agents, international companies, and businesses with an unknown SIC code. Some other reasons that a trade reference may not qualify is these reasons that are written out. So it says D&B works together with thousands of nationwide vendors that report payment experiences on a regular basis. These data providers have requested to remain anonymous. So with these nationwide vendors that report automatically, they cannot be added as a reference. They won't qualify typically. Now, some of them will still act as a reference, but others will not. It's simply an efficiency thing. If Home Depot was fielding these reference calls from D&B all day long, they wouldn't. It takes away time and is an expense to Home Depot. So they typically don't like those phone calls or verification processes that D&B would have to go through in order to add them as a reference. So anybody that automatically reports typically does not qualify as a reference. Those accounts that we have on our business credit program, those accounts typically don't qualify as a reference for that reason. So other companies will not respond. It says do not respond to D&B's requests. We talked about that a little bit. D&B puts forth these requests to verify the company, right? These phone calls or emails. They will make 6 attempts to contact the company. And if they don't reply within a timely manner, then they don't qualify as a reference. Okay, then there's others where the company has proven over time to be less trustworthy. And if they have any questions on the integrity of the business that has been submitted as a reference, then of course it can't be added. So that's the ins and outs of who can be submitted as a trade reference. So we go here and find, once again, you can add those 12 references. Now, we talked about who doesn't qualify as a reference. Let's talk about now who does. And you're probably asking yourself, okay, well, who does at this point, right? So any business that you have done, maybe there's a smaller mom and pop lumber shop down the street and you have a credit account with them. That's probably a good trade reference. If you have a local account with the electrician and you have a credit account because he does commercial work for you, then that could qualify as a reference. There's these agreements that we have with these local businesses that typically could qualify as long as they answer the request that D&B sets forth to verify the reference. We can look at the sample report. It's really the same. They do add the ability to add a reference right here. Okay, so you can submit those. You can purchase additional opportunities to submit a reference also. And as you can see, this report is much the same. There's not these big fundamental differences except for when you get to My Trade References, where you click on this button to add a reference and you can type in the information. Now, this example shows that they had added these three, and this one was not added because it declined. But D&B researched, and these three qualified. And again, this is just an example. Okay, and you can add peers on there also to compare. So these would be direct competitors that you would like to watch, and you can compare yourself to them. So that is what we have as far as the D&B monitoring. Let's see if we have any questions. I don't see any there. So we're going to go to the enhanced D&B comprehensive report, and I like this one because this is more of what lenders are looking at. So when they're pulling your business credit, this is what it looks like, and it's important for you to understand it. It also helps you understand what you need to work on. So the main difference is you get more detail. You can see the business information here and here, and then hopefully don't make you dizzy, but I'm going down to the bottom where I'm going to show you the business registration. You can see the business type is a corporation, that they're for profit, the date incorporated, the state, the filing date, number of stocks, where it was filed, the operations information, the phone numbers, the location, and then of course the SIC and NIAX, which show on the other reports. You can also submit financials to D&B, and D&B will post those. Keep in mind, don't submit those unless you have really strong financial statements. So there's a little more detail on this comprehensive report, but it really opens your eyes to, hey, this is what banks are looking at. This is how they knew my business address didn't match my corporate records. There's a lot of verification that can be done on these corporate public records, even in an automated way. And if things don't match up, that's the first red flag. And sometimes in underwriting, it only takes so many flags before they just decline and say, you know what, too many variables we're not comfortable with, we're going to decline. Typically, when a creditor declines in that situation, they use something very general, like unable to verify business. And then you're left scratching your head wondering, what do I go and fix? So we've talked about that in more detail on the Thinking Like a Lender segment. And it's important to bring up as we're talking about the actual D&B report. Another section that's helpful to look at here is, just like on the other report, you get the industries, the number of payment experiences, the dollar amount, high credit limit, days slow or not. Something we didn't bring up that I want to point out is that this number here, this is the total number of payment experiences. With business credit, it's the payments that are reported. It's not the actual credit account. So with personal credit, if you get a mortgage, it reports before you even make a first payment or a car loan. It's different with business credit. It reports your payments. So a lot of customers may set up their trade accounts and come back to the team and say, okay, I'm done, I set them up. But if they don't make purchases, those accounts are not going to report. And we want to stay away from that error. It's the payments that are reporting to build the business credit. All right, it looks like we still don't have any questions there. I, as you know, like to make these webinars short and straight to the purpose. So today we talked about monitoring your D&B reports, what the three options are, and how they are different. We talked about the credit builder, how it establishes your DMB report and what the qualifications are on those DMB references. We also looked at the comprehensive DMB report, just as a reminder that it's important to have all your business information correct, that lenders can see that detail, and you want to put your best foot forward. Another item that we talked about is making sure that you make your purchases and payments, because it's the payments that are reported. That's all we have to go over today. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. We're always here to help. And of course, if you have any ideas on topics you'd like us to go over, feel free to submit those. Have a wonderful day, and thank you again for joining us.